This is the reason nobody clicks your video. Visually, I don't see this character as a child. Obviously, this conveys being carried. Showing some renders of what your title says is not necessarily adding value. So in effect, you're actually repeating information. You're not conveying anything that's new. I would just do like a 2-panel design for this. I know from having played Fortnite that the default skin typically suggests that you're a noob, right? So let's use the default skin, and we'll also say he's like red. Will kind of suggest like negativity or like kind of the bad side of things. And then on this side, we'll make it more positive, kind of suggest that this is the better person. So that's one way that you could think about it. You could get rid of this and put the literal ranks, like the actual icon. So for what it's worth, I think this is like maybe like a 6 out of 10. I think the idea is there. He's using recognizable elements in those things, but it's like he didn't actually add any new information. So I'd say my concepts are like 7.5 out of 10 to 8 out of 10. So it should point you in the right direction in that regard. If you found that tip helpful, stick around because I'm gonna roast 5 more videos and the best one wins a free coaching call worth $200. Let's check out the next one. I think the first thing that I'd want to do is look up this title. So people are ranking them here. You can see the big brain guys over here. I think this is cap. They're probably saying that he's at the top because it will clickbait people into clicking. And just to prove that that's what this guy's doing in his packaging, we'll just quickly watch this and go to the end of the video. Yeah, look at that mother. Pretty easy. I knew it. From one clickbaiter to another, I knew that's what he was doing. If we want to make our video more appealing, we can't say hardest boss in Terraria. People are just not going to believe this. They don't think that it's the hardest. So what I would recommend is trying to suggest there's some type of information that they don't know about this particular boss. And what I would say is like, everyone says this boss is easy. Now we need to say something to subvert their expectation. We could say something like, but they're wrong. Now that I know that this is the easiest boss, this is probably more like a 2 out of 10 because it doesn't make any sense. Now, the other thing that I would think about is like shortening this title. How do you make it even shorter? You think this boss is easy? So in this way, we're kind of like more directly provoking the viewer. Instead of saying everyone, we're actually speaking directly to them. It might be more engaging. This is the difference between the two angles. We were talking about everyone in the previous one. Now we're talking about you, the viewer. We're just gonna dive into this one. I'd say the title is the first thing that stands out to me. That's like too long. As you can see on this tool that we're using, it's kind of gets cut off. The more that the viewer has to work in order to understand your title and thumbnail, the less that they're likely to click it. This Sega game was lost. That's a better title. I mean, look at it in terms of how much more simple that is to just consume. When you say no one knew it existed, it's like got a level of sensationalism because you're saying no one. I think this statement is actually far more sensational, and it really tells the uniqueness of this particular game because no one knew it existed, even though it did exist. And so I really like this one. I think the most important thing though is that they just simply recognize that it is a retro game. And so by showing it in the thumbnail, it's very obvious. So we don't have to say it anymore in the title. So we went from this where we're actually showing the console and we're trying to demonstrate that this thing is like old or it got lost. Just from a visual perspective, if I were to like remove the title, it just looks like he cleaned off the cobwebs. The other side of the argument is that it's not showing the retro game. So it's not actually appealing to people in that way. If we were to like zoom out like this, like I'm not clicking that. I don't know what I'm looking at, right? If we zoom out here, like I can still kind of tell what that is. It looks like a retro game. And the same thing is true with this one. I can see that there's a difference. It's so simple that I can't confuse it. But with this, I'm not quite clear what I'm looking at. And I'm not sure if it's about the console or about a game. But with this, I know that it's about a retro game. If I were to rank this, it's probably like 5 out of 10. And then I'd say like these are 8.5. I think the WTF factor is really important. Let's move on to this one. I'd give this probably like a 7 out of 10 if I'm being honest, because I think it's still clickable and it's still pretty good. It's got like all the elements. I think the first thing that comes to my mind is the title. I hate the word these as well, you know? It's like plural this, and this is so attractive, but these is like, So I would just remove that right away. Okay, that's a better title, like right off the bat, boom. I would make it more dramatic and I'd say something like, it's official, XDefiant is ruined. It's not referring to cheaters directly. It's actually causing you to wonder like, well, why is it ruined? And then the thumbnail is suggesting why it's ruined. But if we say that it's like XDefiant cheaters should be banned, well, that's kind of an obvious statement. I think all cheaters should be banned. So if we really want to evoke question and evoke curiosity, we need to withhold some of the information. We're also using this emotional statement of it's official. And it's like, oh, wow, XDefiant is ruined. And you're like, well, what ruined XDefiant? Is there like a Dragon Ball Z crossover? Is there like a hacker? Like how did that get in the game? And I'm just like, okay, now I've got to click. But I noticed that there was two variants where this one is bigger and then there was one where it's smaller. I think the one where it's smaller is better because right now it looks like he's holding up some part of the sky, like something's coming down from the sky, and it's not clear that he's holding something up. If you didn't know that this was the spirit bomb, you just think like the sky is falling or something. But if you look at this, you're like, oh, he's obviously holding something up. The second thing that I would do is I would make him be holding the AK at the hip position as if he's standing fully still. It's just kind of distracting my eye. It's like it's taking away so much from the center. And then I would make the reaction bigger. The only thing that really matters is the reaction. So I would just crop this. And then I would also do a variant where we don't see him at all. We just see the spirit bomb in the center. So let's move to this one. This one's probably my favorite actually so far. I'd say this one's like a solid 6.5 out of 10. And what I like about it is how simple it is. Minecraft manhunt with guns. You know, that's the twist. It's like Minecraft viewers are going to know what the manhunt is because Dream popularized this. And then he's doing that, but with guns. But the thing that it's not showing is the guns, which I think is quite a tragedy. So it does look like people have done this. So it's probably not a great idea in retrospect. It's like been done so many times. And so what you're going to have to do at this point is sell the idea like crazy. Try to showcase the weapons kind of displaying a WTF factor or something that is so bizarre that is unrealistic. And so that's the way that I would do this. Maybe for that reason, I would switch it to first person like we see here. So you see a lot of people are doing these like crazy looking like futuristic weapons, and you see people doing like the miniguns and stuff like this. So you could dual wield miniguns. I think that could be really cool. I'd definitely take a look at this, try to include one of the OP weapons that is clickable. And then if I were to do this perspective, I would do the one where it's like looking a little bit more from the bottom looking up and they're a little bit closer like you see here, and make sure that you can see the weapons and make sure the weapons are unrealistic so that it adds some of that wow factor. Now that I know about the idea, I'd probably knock it down to like 5, maybe even 4, because it's like already been done before. The funniest randoms in Apex. There's nothing particularly interesting or unique about this. It's just reiterating information. I'll go ahead and rank this one. I think it's like 4 out of 10. If it's the funniest randoms, and the premise of the video, it's that he basically just like talks to them, interacts with them, sets up jokes, says funny things. And so in our thumbnail, we want to like say something funny, and he often tends to go in a perverted way. And I think this type of humor would appeal to the Apex audience. So that's what I would recommend. Let's just say that the yellow represents like the main character of the video, which is him. And then we want to make this a different color. So we could probably make it like smaller as well. Doesn't really contrast with the background, but we probably want to adjust the background so that it does have a lot of contrast. So basically all that we're trying to do is demonstrate like what the video might look like. Not a great joke, but hopefully kind of demonstrates like what we're trying to achieve here. If you could find a good joke, you could definitely make it like 10 out of 10 with the help of a designer to make this look more clean and polished and put a better background on it and those things. Like as it is, maybe like a 6, but I think the actual thinking behind the concept is like a 7. I think the person who had the best was probably Finley, but Finley and I are working together, so it doesn't quite make sense to do that. Yeah, so I'd say Ulrich was the winner of this video. If you guys want to submit your packaging for us to roast it, review it, give feedback, help you get better, submit in the Discord below, and be sure to watch this video next, and I'll see you on the next one.